Hello and welcome to Corn Composition, Part 1, Taking Visual Notes. Hey everybody, it's me, Perry Pencil, and I'm back to help with a special activity, taking notes. Now, pencil is great for lots of things. Of course, first thing we always do is write our name. Then, you need to write notes on the side of your card that has the lines on it. The lines are there to help you write straight. I'm going to write notes in big letters so I don't forget what this card is for. Notes are like quick ideas that you write down to help remind you later. And a sketch is a lot like that too. It's a quick drawing that you do, and then you look at it later when you're doing your final drawing to help you get everything right. Next, we're going to write down the word Teosinte, ancient ancestor of corn. Next, we have maize, M-A-I-Z-E. That's like corn's cousin. And last, we have corn, C-O-R-N, a grain that's made in central Mexico. All right, now we're ready to start drawing. I'm going to let Mr. Rogers take over. Thanks, Perry the Pencil. So, our first main shape that we had when we looked at our teosinte was this triangle shape. And those are the triangle-shaped seeds that became corn later on. I think the first people that tried eating them probably thought, this isn't great, but it has potential. It could be really good. So I start off by making triangles. Then I make this kind of continuous line that comes back on itself. That's a little more advanced. Don't forget to write down what you're drawing, just so you can remember it later. And as I recall, the teosinte plant, it gets narrower at the top. There we go. Next, let's draw some maize. Maize looks a little bit different. The kernels are now teardrop shaped, like this. I'm using that same kind of pattern to make my teardrops. And there's some wispy little stringy pieces of the plant right there. Looks kind of like corn silk. Now I'm going to draw some kernels of the maize plant. They seem to have like a little cap on them. M-A-I-Z-E. They're like teardrop shapes with a little hat on top. There we go. So the last thing we're going to draw here is the shape of corn. Corn is like an oval shape. You see it right there. Like somebody took a circle and stretched it out. And the way it fits together, corn often goes in rows. So you have one piece right on top of the next. And you pack it together, all these ovals start to look like corn. There we go. Now we have some good notes for when we make our composition next time. Thank you, Perry. Now in part 2, we're going to start on our composition. Each table will have a bucket with some supplies in it. You'll need your ruler, your pencil, your eraser, and these are tangram shapes. Each table will have one little bag, and in each bag are 7 pieces. 7 pieces. So if you have all 7 pieces, you can get started. And those are really just there to help you draw some basic shapes in case you're having trouble getting started. But of course, you don't have to use them if you don't want to. Any pieces that you're not going to use, just put them back in the bag so they're not in your way. So now I've got all my stuff. I'm going to write my name first. And then I'm going to start on my composition. So, as we're getting ready to draw on the page, let's get out our note card from before. So we took some notes on what teosinte looks like, what maize looks like, and what corn looks like. So we're going to try and make a composition that goes from teosinte on one side all the way to corn on the other side. I might not use all of these pieces, like I might not use this leaf design, but I wanted to have it on there just in case I do decide to use that idea later. So now I'm gonna get my paper station ready. I'm gonna start by marking off the left side of my page. I'm gonna start with some shapes on the left, and then we'll change in the middle, and then it will look like corn on the right hand side. I'm gonna get out a triangle. You don't have to use these if you don't want to, but I thought for getting started, it would be a good idea to start with a triangle shape. That might help me get my ideas going onto the paper. Alright. I'm going to switch to a smaller triangle now. Because remember, the triangles get smaller as they go up, and it doesn't have to look perfect exactly like I had drew it the first time. It can look a little bit different, like I'm just playing with the shapes and seeing how it looks on the paper. And if it looks interesting, that's all that matters. It doesn't have to look exactly like the Teosinte we drew the first time. Let's see. Use that zigzag kind of pattern again. Let's see, now I'm going to look at this part. I want to try and make some big Teosinte, even bigger than before. So, some huge ones here. Trying to get that back and forth pattern. There we go. Like a zigzag. I'm going to make a skinny part to look like the maze. Maybe I'll just make that another Teosinte. Alright, that's what seemed to work out the best. Alright, I'll see if I can fit my maze in here now. So I'm going to do those teardrop shaped pieces. I'm just going to make them come up the page. Up from the bottom. If I need to look back at my note card, that helps me get back on track. There we go. Now I have a maze. Little stalk up there. Alright. This looks kind of like the seed head. They're starting to look a little bit more like ovals now. Less like triangles. So now I'm going to turn that into my corn. My corn rows. There we go. Just ovals on top of ovals. Kind of squish them together. They fit all right. Just do it however you think looks best. There we go. Now I'm pretty much filled in my whole paper with a design that looks like Teosinte, maize, and corn. So I don't need those drawing supplies anymore. I'm ready for marker. So the last part of the drawing part is to go over our lines with marker and maybe fill in some of the gaps, right? If I use nice thick lines, it kind of hides any mistakes I made. Fill in some little tiny holes. And that's what it looks like. Next time, we're going to add color in part 3. So here's part 3, adding color. And first we're going to try and erase our marks with an eraser. Then we can get into coloring. Now there's a couple different things we can color with. Crayons, markers, or colored pencils. It all depends on how much time we have. Colored pencils take the longest, then markers, and the least amount of time is crayons. Those are the quickest. And sometimes you can even find the color of corn. So I'm going to use crayons for this video, but depending on how fast your class is moving, I'll let you know what materials you can use to color yours. So I went ahead and selected some of the colors that I know I definitely want to use. I have some corn colors, some greens and yellow greens for the Teosinte, and I have some brown and some purple because sometimes the corn is other colors, not just yellow, right? So I'm going to start coloring in my Teosinte side. I'm going to mix together some yellows and greens. And that's the cool thing about crayons is you can use them in layers. You can lay down a color and then color over it with another color. They kind of blend together. For my maze, I'm using some purple and yellow. I'm using some orange and yellow for my corn. And then some of my corn is going to be purple because we saw that corn can be purple. Well, there we go. There's my finished composition. I hope you had fun learning about corn and teosinte and maize, and I hope you had some art that you're proud of. Have a corntastic day.